This video shows some of the more advanced things we can do with an array list that we can't easily do with an array. For example, it's much more easy to insert and remove data items. So we're going to follow a standard model here with these. We're going to have an array list at the top here of strings. We're going to have a string array of sort of fixed values of sort of ridiculous fruit names. Then typically sometimes we're going to print out the array here to show that the array data values before we start. Sometimes we'll skip that, but one thing we're pretty much always going to do is we're going to copy the array to the array list, and that's what this loop's going to do. Is basically array list data.add. In this case, we're going to copy some data from this array data here to this array list here. And then typically we're going to print things out again at the end to show how they finished. Now this example here is exactly the same as the ones we've seen before. All it does is copy data from an array to an array list. If I run it, you can see that, if I run it, you can see that this list here, the array contents, is exactly the same as this list here, the array list contents. But one thing I can do here, which I can't do very easily in an array, is I can choose whereabouts to insert data. So if I put 0, at the beginning of this add operation here, that says insert the data at the beginning at location 0. Now if I was going to do that in an array, I'd have to manually loop through and move all the data up and make space to put it in. But I don't have to do that with an array list. It'll automatically move things out of the way. Now if I can compile this without messing this up, just put type.java, that's the easiest thing to do. And if I run it, now you can see here that the array list down here is in the reverse order to the array. So this one starts at lemon and goes to apple, and this one starts at apple and goes to lemon. That's because we've been inserting the data at the beginning, not the end, so the data ends up in the reverse order. Okay, this next video is very similar, but this one shows how we can replace an item in an array list, overwrite it rather than insert something. So again, we're going to have our array and our array list. We're going to copy data from the array to the array list. We're going to print out the original data that we have here, but then we're going to read in a couple of values. We're going to read in a string, we're going to read in an integer, and basically the string is going to be the new data we're going to be putting into the array list, and the location is going to be the element that we're going to replace. And to do that, we just simply call this set operation here. So if I say set and then the location of the data, in this case the integer value, and the string, because this array list contains string, then this will replace the item at this location with this value. We're not doing any error checking when we're reading this data here, which obviously is not really good, but this is meant to be a simple example. So if I run this program, then I should see elements 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the kiwi is number 3. I'm going to replace that with grapefruit. And as you can see, kiwi's been overwritten with grapefruit. Now, just to show you the add one again, remember we saw this in the last example where we basically inserted data at location 0. Just to show you can put things at any location you want to within the existing list of data. Then I'm going to change this program to use add instead of set. So if I save this one now and I compile it and run it, then what we should now be able to do is just going to put testing in here, and I'm going to put location 2, and now we've put at location 0, 1, 2 we've put the value testing, but unlike before where we were using set, we've now inserted this item. So pineapple is still here. It used to go lemon, orange, pineapple. Now it goes lemon, orange, testing, pineapple. And there are now 6 things in this array list instead of 5. Unlike an array list will expand as you add data in automatically. You don't have to decide how big it is to start with, and you don't have to worry about it getting ultimately too full. Okay, now this example is showing you how to remove something from an array list, and we're going to do this in 2 ways. This program is basically the same as before. We're kind of copying things in and setting things up and printing things out to show what's in the array and the array list. But here's the key line. This essentially says go away and take our array list data and remove the element at location 1. Okay, so this is just going to take it out. It's not going to leave a gap. It's just going to take this thing out and remove it altogether. So if I run this program, you can see that we started off lemon, orange was at location 1, and now orange has gone from this list here. One thing we can do though with an array list that is very useful is, rather than actually saying take out the item at a particular location, we could say look for something and remove that. So if I wanted to remove the kiwi, I could just put in here kiwi. So you don't have to know where it is. Now if I recompile this and I run it, now you can see kiwi's gone from this list, and I didn't have to tell it where kiwi was. It basically searched through and found it automatically without me having to write a loop to look for it. The final example in this video is how to find something in an array list or find out if it's there at all. So again, we've got the same kind of thing. We're copying our array data to our array list in this loop here. What we're going to do here is we're going to read in an integer. A string, and the string is basically going to be the thing we're looking for in the array list. Okay, so it can be one of lemon, orange, pineapple, kiwi, and so on. Now, when we call this array list data index of with the name of the thing we're looking for, this will return either -1 if the thing we're looking for isn't there at all, or it'll return the location in the array list of the item we're looking for. So if I run this, then suppose we're going to be looking for lemon, that's at location 0, and you'll see it says it's at location 0. If we're looking for the kiwi, I believe that's at location 3. Oops, if I run the program and then type kiwi, then as you can see it says at location 3. If we go here 0, 1, 2, 3. If I run it and look for testing, it'll say -1 because that's not in there. So you can easily search for things without again having to loop through.